Good day, everyone. In this micro lecture, I will be introducing you to the concept of the service supply chain. Throughout the module thus far, we've been looking primarily at product based supply chains. However, we cannot take away from the importance of the service sector. Service sectors are significant contributors towards GDP, and a growing service sector is reflective of a growing economy. The dynamic has in recent decades shifted towards the performance of service supply chains due to changing customer demands, and this is reflected in the changes that companies have started to make in their supply chain design. This shift represents or reflects a post agricultural shift and a growing importance of service organizations. There's a tend towards what we call servitization, something we will look at later on in the week, where manufacturers offer services along with their products to enhance their value proposition. This includes your car manufacturers and retailers, your technology firms, internet service providers, allowing some degree of automation and integrating services into the product offering. Remember that services are intangible. They don't have the ability to be stored, they're perishable. But of course, they have supply chains. They're perishable in the sense that they cannot be made in advance and stored like products. But of course, services may accompany certain product purchases. Think about it. When you go to a restaurant, are you paying for the food? Are you paying for the service? Are you paying for both? This convergence of product and service is becoming more and more commonplace. Increasingly, we have a further factor that's leading to this growing convergence where customers are buying performance. In other words, they're not just buying a product, they're buying benefits. And the implications for this in terms of logistics are considerable. It means capacity is crucial, availability is critical, and service providers have to balance supply and demand. It's reflective of a service dominant logic, the trend towards services and customers' willingness to pay for better services. Think about subscription services, delivery services. Companies need to embed themselves in the customer's value chain, creating unique value propositions, realizing that there isn't a one size fits all solution. This represents a shift from a product dominant logic to a service dominant logic, moving from standardization to mass customization, scale economies to scope economies. And this was reflected in the 1989 paper by Chase and Garvin, where they wrote about the growth of the service sector long before the rise in services took place. Having introduced this concept, we can now talk about two very basic designs. You could have a service only supply chain, pure services, such as banking, strategy consulting, advisory services, tourism, or you could have a product service supply chain where you combine the product and the service element, car sales, product design, restaurants. And while you work through this week's content, you will find that this design of the product service supply chain is becoming more and more commonplace. Thank you very much.